of famous personalities over here, of yesteryear Oriental-style personalities. And we need to speak today about someone named Gerrard Nahon, who would become a French Jewish historian. I think very much would sympathize, let's just say, and have a fondness with regards to Oriental studies in of its own right. So we are an Oriental, let's say, encyclopedia, rabbinic encyclopedia, and also we find the various different historians as key people, basically, in our, let's just say, project over here with regards to finding out the history and the science behind Sephardic Jewry in of its own right. So I thought it's only appropriate to speak about Gerrard Nahon today, because he ends up becoming, let's just say, a key personality in of his time. So he was born actually in the year 1931. He passed away in 2018, 19th February. I believe that's 4th of Adar, which is this week we are in at the moment. He was a French Jewish historian. Now, I think he was born in Paris in 1931. It was Brovat Shi'i, as they say. He would apparently learn inside a school over there. Lamad b'betei sefer yesodiyim b'monmo aras Ansi, I hope I pronounce this correctly, but Paris, or yeah, very, very interesting. Edli Mudohai Tichon Asab Tichon Al Shem Louis Barton Bo. Very interesting. So, who was he? I think let's just speak about Louis over here, who he seemingly was close to, had a connection to. He lived between Louis Barton. He lived between 1862 to 1934, and yeah, he was basically, let's just say, very famous in France, and I think, yeah, I think he was a French politician in the Third Republic and was the Prime Minister of France at that point in time when this historian was learning at that point in time. So much can be said with regards to him, but we're not going to go so much into French politics history in of itself. But Tichon al Shem Osh ובברסי, ובתיכון הנראי רביעי בפריז. הוא קיבל התואר הראשון שלו, I think he received a certificate in the year 1953, בעברית, modernit, with regards to modern Hebrew. So he was very, very into Ivrit, modern Hebrew, let's just say, in its own right, Oriental subjects. Also, את הדוקטורט עשה בהיסטוריה בסורבן. So I think he would and get that. And 1969, וכן קיבל תואר, he'd get a prize, I think, I'm not sure if it was in 1969 or 1976, called École Pratique des Hutes Études. That's what it was actually called. So very, very interesting. Anyone tuning in live at the moment, welcome to our community as we're exploring a few highlights of a famous Jewish historian that happens to be from France, from Paris, and someone that really, let's just say, was someone that was seen as one, let's say, the more famous historians in of its own right. So it's something that we very much have to point out here. So if you're new here to our channel and to our community, welcome, and please don't forget to subscribe, as we've got very important content in of its own right over here today. So please, everyone, join in, and yeah, welcome also. So that's something we very much just have to urge everyone to actually do. Okay, so let's continue speaking over here within regards to him. He was, okay, Hakriya. I think between 1955 to 1965, he would actually learn history and geography inside Beit Sefer, I think Tichon, after Lifnei Shadchid B'Karriera Academic B'Mahalacha Avad B'Sorvan במחלקת למדעי הדת, שם לימד היהודית ימי בנימינית ומודרנית. I think in 1977-2000, who גם לימד בבית מדרש רבני של צרפת. So very interesting. He would actually learn, I think, I don't know if it was throughout this time period in itself, but he was involved over there. Maybe it was in the year 1972, I'm not too sure the exact, but he would actually learn in this rabbinical seminary in Paris, famous one that we've spoken about before. I don't know if he received the diploma or not. היה פרופסור חבר במרכז האוניברסיטי למחקרי יהודית באוניברסיטה החופש של בריסל. I think for many year period, if I'm not mistaken, who עבד גם במרכז הלאומי למחקר מדעי. So he was a historian and would actually search in of its own right all throughout. So very, very interesting. Anyone tuning in at the moment, we're exploring a few of the highlights of Rabbi Gerrard. I'm not too sure if it was Rabbi or not, but he was a historian, a Jewish historian, some name of Gerrard over here, Mr. Gerrard. So, very, very interesting. And remember, we actually recorded probably about 25 French rabbis already inside this series over the last, I think we've been recording this for nearly now 4 years, which is absolutely staggering at the moment. So just shows how important how we go from strength to strength over here. And we don't just explore videos on the famous rabbis of yesteryear. We try and now delve into the historians also, and we're trying to really broaden our horizon at the moment. And friends, if you don't know yet, we are doing a series at the moment speaking about all different countries we're trying to across the world, and what was the Jewish history like in each country. Was it anti-Semitism in those places? Was it good for Israel? We're trying to really get the science behind everything. So we've already recorded, we have to point out, about 45 different countries here inside this series, which is absolutely very proud achievement of ours, and something that we very much have to point out. But anyway, everyone, we're tuning in live. We're exploring about a famous historian, Gerrard Nahon, over here inside this special edition. So very, very interesting. So let's continue speaking. There's more to say within regards to him. Yeah, so he would actually learn. He would be very much part of it. Hu nihel et katab. I think something called Nouvelles Gediet Judaica. צרפת הוא היה המשכיל ואחר כך העורך יחד על שרל תותי של רובי דאתיודס, if I'm not mistaken, and I think this was for a time period in of itself. So very interesting. I think we did speak about this man Sharal Shalom Tuati. I think if I'm not mistaken, it could, or Charlie to be precise. Sorry, Charles Shalom Tuati. That was his name. So he was very close to him. He lived between 1925 to 2003. He also, I believe, he passed away in Paris. He was a rabbi, actually. Rabbi Charles was. He was a philosopher and was a French Jewish person of his time. It's actually interesting. I think he had a very decorated history, if I'm not mistaken. He's and we did speak about him before. He was actually, I think, part of Tlemcen, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Chaim Tuati, if I'm not mistaken, was his father. So, and I think they came from a line of rabbis that actually happened to have been from Algeria. I think his grandfather, his father's side, was someone named Rabbi Chaim Balaich, if I'm not mistaken. So this is Rabbi, I think maybe we did mention him before. Rabbi Chaim Katzvi. Very, very interesting. So yeah, I do think we did record a video with regards to Rabbi Balaich. I recommend everyone to check out the series, and hopefully we'll record a video with regards to him. Who was Rabbi Chaim Balaich? I think he passed away on the 5th of Kislev, if I'm not mistaken, all the way back in the year 1919, and was the head of Jewish court in Tlemcen in Algeria, and had very different important positions all throughout his life. And yeah, I think that's definitely a plan at the moment, is to actually, Bez Rosham, hopefully record also at a later stage a video with regards to him also. So that will be a very, very important project. So, right, so everyone tuning in live, we are exploring a few highlights within regards to Gerrard Nahon. Let's just say a bit more about Charles Tuati at the moment, or Charlie Tuati. I think he would be in France. He would be working in the university in Algiers. I think in 1943. He would go to France in 1945 and would learn part of the rabbinate of the Beit Midrash L'Rabbanim Paris, and would study philosophy, and would eventually take on various positions. I think there was a synagogue called Ohel Abraham Synagogue, where he would become much part of, let's just say, in its own right. And it was close to another rabbi, I think Rabbi Yaakov Kaplan, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was a chief rabbi of France between 1955 all the way to 1980, which is very interesting. And I think Rabbi Tuati, he would get maybe a doctorate seemingly also, and become a history of philosophy of that point in time, and would take on various importances. He would win various different prizes. Also, he would win a Legion of Honor, if I'm not mistaken, from the president of France, and who would actually be a writer also, and won various other awards also. But seemingly he wrote many, many different books of his own right. So that's something that very much have to point out over here. And he was close to other rabbis, including Robert Yitzhak, or Professor Yitzhak Heinemann, who was also a famous man in France of his own time. He passed away in the year 2003. Rabbi Charles did, just as a side note over here. So very, very interesting. Anyone tuning in live, welcome to our community over here. And let's speak a bit more with regards to Gerrard over here. So I think he was working along with Rabbi Charles Toati and various other people also. Who he begged Kamasvarim. Apparently, he would write various different books. Interesting enough. He would concentrate on exploring the history of the Jewish community of Tzarfat, of France. Ali Yudim, a Portuguese Marav. I think from the 16th to 18th century, especially the Portuguese Jewish community would delve a lot in. I think it would actually partner with Encyclopedia, Universal Encyclopedia. And I don't know if it was just a French language or other languages in itself. Nahon haya nasui le ma'ariva roka. So he would actually get married to Mrs. Marivon Roca. They would have 4 children, including Miriam, I think Zach, Ariel, and Elizabeth, if I'm not mistaken. Now, very interesting. We are going to continue this in a minute. We're just going to take a short minute break and explore some prizes and books that he actually won. So just watch your space for a minute and we'll be back in a minute. Hi, shalom everyone. Thanks for being patient over here as we're exploring a few highlights with regards to a famous historian that was actually from France. He would be part of the rabbinical seminary the Paris one in of its own right. And I believe he would also teach Jewish history, if I'm not mistaken. That's something we'll have to point out. What were the prizes that he won? I think he won a medal over there בצרפת, דמי הבניינים, מדליה על ספרו, from one of these מדליית זהב מטעם החברה האקדמית לאמניות ומדעים. He would actually win a social, academic, art, science, letters, let's just say. Another prize he won, I think, from the Iriat in Jerusalem, the Jerusalem municipality in 1995, and another medal I think he would win in 2003 in France, respectively. Different books, I think, because he was a Oriental researcher in his own right, including a book on Menashe ben Israel, famous rabbi of his time. Les Nations, this was another book, I think, concentrating between the year 1684 to 1791. Inscriptions Hebriques et Joub de France Médiévale. I'm hoping I pronounced that closely correct. It was printed in 1986. And there were other books, I think, one connected to Rashi, if I'm not Rashi, the great biblical commentator in its own right, and various other books. I think there's a collection of his in the National Library of Israel also, we have to point out. So very, very interesting. And you can see it was well decorated and very, very famous in of his day. That's something that we have to point out. So yeah, very, very interesting. And to speak about I think he would graduate modern Hebrew. Just to recap, in the year 1953, he got a degree in literature, in philosophy, a doctorate in history in University Paris, a diploma from the École Pratique des Hautes Études, and various other places. He would lecture, I believe. Yes, sorry. He lectured at the rabbinical seminary, if I'm not mistaken, the French rabbinical seminary, apparently for 28 years. He was also an associate professor in the Centrale Université d'Études Judaism, I think, University Center for Jewish Studies, and the Free University of Brussels for, I think, between 1972 to 1996. And he was a lecturer at the University of Aix-Marseille, if I'm not mistaken. He would have also be connected very much to the French National Center for Scientific Research. He was a secretary and a director, as said before, to Rabbi Charles Twatty over there. So that's someone that Rabbi we did record about, and wrote numerous books also all throughout his time. So he's a very, very famous man of his time. He passed away in the year 2008 and 2018. He was born in 1931. So I think he passed away in Le Verrières, if I'm not mistaken, with 87 years of age, and seen as just a famous historian in that window, let's just say, of the history of French Jews. That's something very much we have to point out here. And very interesting. We're community friends over here. We are exploring a few of the highlights with regards to Gerrard Nahon, who happens to be a historian and I believe an Orientalist to some degree, and took on various different importances all throughout his career. So very, very interesting over here. And friends, anyone you tuned in live at the moment, welcome to our community. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We are at the moment nearing 9,000 staggering subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. I don't think we've anticipated this from the beginning, and we try and really, really get a breadth within regards to the Oriental Jewish history all throughout from yes to yes. That's something that we very much have to point out over here. And I think it's a good time to wish you all a fantastic day. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to join and watch this space for more channel, basically. So we're planning to do much, much more. And if you watch over our biography of phenomenal videos, we've got so much fantastic content to share over with all amazing people. So wishing you well over here. And we also do tours over here on this channel. That's another project that we are working on. We'd like to tour all over Israel. We record with a inspirational Jewish or rabbinic personality every single day. That's another goal that we are trying to do, and thank God, really, really achieving in that. And we do loads of videos of great rabbis. There's so many. Today happened to be the 7th of Adar, and what's interesting is that Gerrard, the famous physician, will pass away on the 4th of Adar. It's happened to happen, so that's something else. So wishing you well, and thanks.